This tank is a Sheridan. This is an American Tier 10 light tank. The map is Ruinberg. I am going to get 4,800 spotting damage in this game. I got this tank rather recently. I really enjoyed playing the T-49. The T-49 is a bit more mobile. One of the advantages of playing this tank is you get into the Tier 10 games, and also it has a pretty powerful gun on it. I like being able to take shots with this gun. You can see that most of my team is going field and most of the enemy team is going field, so I'm going to get a lot of spotting damage in this game. Although this is one of the positions I take up, normally I like to go a little bit further, a couple bushes a little bit further where there's a little pathway and a little gap opening. But the reason why I didn't is because one of my allies was kind of heading in that direction. Notice that I'm completely behind the bush. This is the position I like to go to. I've only got spotting damage on 2 tanks so far, so my team really didn't take advantage of it. And we do have 3 artillery on our team. It looked like that was an artillery shot going in, but it may have missed. You always want to know who's a threat. That T-100 is a possible threat. So if he gets too close to me, I have to be able to take a shot at him and run. I am running Coca-Cola, and I have Binox, and I have the directive for coated optics to improve my view range. To me, it is a priority. I will use my gun to fire at enemy light tanks, and I prioritize an enemy light tank over other enemy tanks because the enemy light tank is a threat. They are more likely to detect me, so to tear down their hit points is something that I will do in the game. Like, there might come a point where he's sitting there. I could have done it in the, a minute or so ago. Like right there, I could fire right there and then run because I'm going to get spotted. So I would fire, do the damage, and run. Now that he's a potential one-shot, it increases the chance that I might actually fire on him. You can see that the enemy is winning in the town. And I'm notifying my team that we have to act fast because we're losing in the city. We need to get those allies out of the field and into the city. I'm up to 3,300 spotting damage. Because my allies are crossing over into the field, I'm no longer useful spotting. I did take a shot at a tank. I believe it was an STRV, and I missed. I've got full hit points, so I'm going to go in, look for weak tanks, spot whatever I can. Got lots of guns supporting me. Try to let my allies do all the damage. I did 713 damage on that STRV. Now, because the guy's shooting at me, I headed for the buildings to get the building, use the building for cover so he couldn't repeat shooting at me. And it also allows me to reload. I'm waiting to reload to go in for another shot. Now, obviously, I saw him aiming in my direction, so I'm going to wait for my allies to show up. When my allies show up, then I'll go in and I'll take some shots. I'm preparing my tank to go in for a shot, watching my allies come in. The T-100 turned around, so only the 262A came in. Trying to bait the STRV. I I think he fired. Go for the ram. Unfortunately, I didn't do a lot of damage. I got 4,800 spotting damage in this game, and I did 800 damage. Unfortunately, I didn't finish out to the end of the game. The T-62A that was here with me must have died because he's no longer in the game. I don't know if we won this or not, but I just wanted to show the spotting position that I took at the beginning of the game. I get a lot of spotting damage from that position. And number two, the method that you use once your team starts to advance over the field. This tank is the Sheridan. This is an American Tier 10 light tank, and the map is Karelia in assault mode, and I'm on the defending team. I am going to get 3,800 spotting damage. I am trying a different maneuver. Normally I try to take something midfield, but lately what I've been doing is trying to spot the tanks as they approach their fighting position. So I haven't found the perfect position yet. You can see that still got to work some of the details out. I got spotted on the way. So now there's a T-100 LT that made it through the field. As you can see, if I had stopped at this position, I would have still been able to spot all those tanks. So I didn't have to go as far as I did. And look at how it's really going to slow the enemy down. The T-100 LT made it to the D4 position, which is a very powerful position for him. But I've also got a great position because I've got these tanks pinned down and spotted, and they're afraid to move. But remember, they know that I am in this position. On their mini-map, they see a little green dot at the location that I'm at right now, so they know I'm here. I got 2,900 spotting damage. And you can see that there's a lot of enemy tanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, perhaps 8 enemy tanks here in the south. So I'm glad that I did come here. I did slow them down. They do outnumber us. Let's see if somebody... Oh, look at what's happening. Now, what happened right here is that T-100, he's right here now. He was at the D4 position. He knew that I was in this position because, like I said, there's a green dot on his mini-map because I was last spotted here. So he came and he hunted me down. And they took me out of the game. So it was a very good move for his team. And I'm going to talk about this real quick. So first of all, yes, you can come out here at the beginning of the game and spot those tanks on the way to the fighting position. You don't have to go past this rock. You could stop at this rock where I am right now or on the other side, and you can be here, never be spotted in that game, and that T-100 never would have known where I was, and I probably would have had a better game. So I had 3,800 spotting damage, and let's move on to the next game. This tank is a Sheridan. This is an American Tier 10 light tank, and the map is Karelia. I'm going to show you a spotting position. One of the great things about Karelia is that since the 1.0 update, there's a lot more spotting positions. There's a lot more sniping positions in the middle of the field. The bushes are arranged quite a bit differently. That makes it more advantageous to hide here. You've got a lot of options. You can snipe. It's much easier now than it was in the previous version. So you can see that I am able to spot some of the tanks off in the distance. This is one of these things where we know how to spot those tanks, but my allies are not in a position to necessarily shoot at them. So it's going to take a little bit of time for the meta of the game to change, where people learn, okay, I'm going to spot those tanks, go shoot at them. Obviously, what I can do at the start of the game is I can notify my allies that I plan to spot in those positions, but the invariable always happens. You know, you claim that you're going to go spot them, and then on your way there, you're confronted by an enemy light tank that prevents you from spotting, etc. So I prefer right now to just practice and see what's happening and let my allies learn how the game might be changing. You'll notice that the enemy has one on the hill, so I have to be careful. If I leave my position, I could easily be spotted. Most of my team is in the north. They haven't really taken up a strong position in the southeast. Got to be very careful when you move forward. Stay in those bushes as much as possible. Go slowly and drive from bush to bush. You'll notice I spotted a Yag Tiger very close to me, so I immediately stopped. Got 1,000 spotting damage. $1,300 spotting damage. So my allies didn't take advantage of all the spots that I had for all those tanks heading north, but finally we're getting some action. Most of it is against the Yag Tiger. You can see there's a tank that's right in front of me. Hopefully someone will take him out of the game. Now, in terms of passive spotting, you're only going to be able to do so much spotting on this map because there is a brawl aspect to the map. What's going to happen is tanks are going to go brawl over, and that in the west, they're going to brawl in the east. There's not going to be a lot of passive spotting. I don't have a lot of people backing me up, able to snipe anything that I spot. So you have to take a different tactic in the game, but that's going to end the passive spotting, and then you have to switch to an active scouting strategy. This tank is a Sheridan. This is a Tier 10 American light tank. The map is Westfield. What I'm going to try in this game is I'm going to try and sneak behind enemy lines. And the reason why you sneak behind enemy lines has a lot to do with the penetration value of your gun. If you can't penetrate the front of enemy tanks, you got to hit them on the side or on the rear. I believe this only does 150 penetration. Yeah, 152. So I can't really penetrate a lot of tanks from the front, so I got to come up with a plan, use my speed, use my stealth, look for openings, be able to predict where the enemy is going, try and get behind them, look for an opportunity to get behind them. They're going to be behind the cliffs or the slopes. I'm pinging on the map. I must have seen a tree fall, so I'm pinging on the map to let my allies know that there's a vehicle there. But there's an easy way to get behind the enemy lines, and that is to go and stay low and head for the buildings near the base, and then head north again, beyond the back side of the hill. The other way is to climb the hill, look for some bushes, stay at the edge of the ridge, be as far away from the tanks in the south, far away from the tanks in the north. You'll notice that we haven't spotted enemy tanks in the middle of the map. Okay, so the FV215B just showed up. He would be a potential threat that would make it difficult for me to go upwards into the middle of the map, up the hill. We have spotted tanks in the south. I can move from bush to bush, keep on advancing. Now, I'm not getting spotted. I'm advancing and not getting spotted. Enemy tanks are going away from me. They're increasing their distance away from me. I'm staying close to the ridge. Going from bush to bush, turning on the binocs. Advancing to the next location. And one of the threats was just removed. The FV4005 could have potentially spotted me. He's now out of the game. Now I see this AMX-30B. He's pretty far away from me. we've got 3 enemy SPGs. 3 enemy SPGs means that there's more tanks that I can spot. There's an Object 268, which was spotted. However, my allies won in the north, which means that that Object 268 is going to be taken out of the game. But if I had gone up the hill, he probably would have spotted me. So now we've got 3 SPGs who are going to get spotted probably a little bit sooner than they thought. You got to get pretty close to those tanks when you fire the gun on the Sheridan, because the Sheridan doesn't aim very well. You notice that as I drove towards that tank, I tried to keep my tank straight, because when you rotate the hull, it changes the accuracy of your shot. So when you are approaching an SPG, you want to set up a route that's going to take you as straight as possible. Don't zigzag with this particular gun. The more you zig and the more you zag and the more you turn that hull, the less your accuracy is going to be. So I planned a route, I went straight directly towards him, fired the gun, and then I changed the direction I was driving in. Score is 11-6. Now, right now, you notice that as soon as he was spotted, I turned right. And the reason why is because I no longer want to head towards him. I now have the advantage where I spotted him, and I don't want him to spot me. So by turning right, I keep him spotted, and I decrease the chance he's going to spot me. Because there's a bush in the way, he's obviously not going to spot me through that bush. Now you'll notice that I'm going to a safe position so that they don't fire back at me. I have to reload. There's really little that I can do. I'm going to stay in these bushes over here. They're going over the crest of the hill, which means that they can't fire back at me anyway until I crest this hill. And I'm using the minimap to try and predict where the 121 is. And the great thing about this game is, even though I didn't get the damage by firing my gun, I did get 184 spotting damage on that tank. That was just a wild shot, just taking a chance. Doesn't matter if he hits me, although you do pay for repairs. I'm not worried about that. I have plenty of silver. I'm more concerned about keeping him spotted. Now, he was stunned, and when you're stunned, that's the time you want to go in and shoot at those tanks, because they're going to have less of a view range, and their accuracy is going to go down. Okay, so I did 650 damage and 3,294 spotting damage. But what's important is I also showed you that it is possible to sneak through. That is the path with the highest success rate that you're going to get to go in after those SPGs during the game. This tank is the Sheridan. This is an American Tier 10 light tank. The map is Murovanka. We're going to see some good hit-and-run gameplay, see some good light tank action. There's a lot of different ways to approach this game. Sometimes what I do is I just drive to the enemy side of the map. If I spot something, I'll immediately hide. If it's a light tank, because my gun does a lot of damage, I'll try to figure out a way to do a hit-and-run tactic on it. I'm going to do a lot more damage to that LTTB than he's going to do to me. So it's to my advantage to find him and blast him, or to draw him to my side of the map. And I can see 3 enemy light tanks. There's 2 LTTBs and an AMX 1390. And now, right now, I am getting spotting damage just from sitting in this location. Not the best location. This location is kind of more for beginners. I would not use this. Being very cautious. We do have 3 Allied light tanks all in the same location. Really not good positioning. So that LTTP is coming out for a fight. Maybe we're going to go and do some damage to him. So I did 714 damage to that LTTB. This is a very slow-moving game. Normally, I'm moving in a lot faster. The Bat Chat 12T went in, but the T-54 lightweight was the one that actually got the kill. It looks like a safe approach. I'm looking at the mini-map. I don't see a lot of enemy tanks nearby. This looks like it's double bushed. I'm sure I can shoot at him easily without being spotted. It is a kill shot. He only had 3 hit points, so it makes sense to take him out of the game. We got a Primo Victoria in the backfield who might be all by himself. Well, actually, he's advanced now. Looking at the different targets, that looks like soft armor for me. That was another kill. He had a low amount of hit points. With the amount of damage that I do, I would easily kill that tank off. So we got an LTTB that's somewhat isolated. I'm loaded. I could probably do some good damage to that tank. Ah, I missed. I did 314 ramming damage, but unfortunately my shot missed him. So wait till you're reloaded, go in for another shot. Takes a lot of practice to line up shots with fast derp guns on these types of tanks. It's not easy to do. It takes a lot of practice, and you miss frequently. You have to be really close, and you really have to watch where that gun is pointed. You got to aim very carefully. I miss frequently. Got 1,700 damage and 1,000 spotting damage and 3 kills. There's only 4 enemy targets left in the game. So obviously I'm looking for the SPG. The SPG will be very easy for me to damage. Reload, go back in for the other SPG. And now he's dead. I got 4 kills, 2,300 damage. One thing that I didn't notice is that the Badger was pointing right at me. So that was a mistake that I made. You really don't want to go head-to-head against a Badger. So I really failed in that respect, but I did get 4 kills and 2,200 damage and 1,000 spotting damage. This tank is a Sheridan. This is an American Tier 10 light tank. And the map is Mannerheim Line, which was previously known as Arctic Region. I'm going to show you a new spotting position. And it's very interesting because you're going to be able to spot some tanks from this spotting position that you can't do from other positions. I'm going to advance so we can get there a little bit more quickly. And there's a couple different options here. And I'm going to show you this particular one that I've been testing out lately. Obviously, you got some other bushes here. For example, that one right there. You've got something really small here that would have to be a really small tank, like an E-25. You'll notice that I can spot that T-28 that's up there on that ridge. And I was able to spot the E-50 that's crossing over there.
Excuse me. Now, one of the issues with the tanks, such as the T-28 that's up on that ridge, is that generally when they're spotted, they reverse. And if they reverse, you're going to spot them more. Not only will you spot them more, but you'll be able to take shots at them. Now, I have tried different positions. This is not my favorite position. I'm just saying that this is a position that you can try. Maybe you'll have great games with it. I'm not so happy with it. Here's an example of how I can hit that T-28 when he thinks he's safe. And he's probably acting the way he is because he's confused as to why he's being spotted. Okay, so let's move on to the next video.